You think you're in control of your life, making rational decisions based on logic and reason. But science reveals a startling truth. Most of your choices aren't made by your conscious mind at all. They're shaped by a hidden force, operating beneath your awareness, silently guiding your actions, shaping your preferences, and determining your future. This invisible puppeteer is your unconscious mind, and it's running the show far more than you ever imagined. Every second, your brain processes about 11 million pieces of information. Your eyes send visual data. Your ears capture sounds. Your skin registers temperature and touch. Yet your conscious mind can only handle about 40 bits of information per second. The rest is filtered, sorted, and acted upon by your unconscious. This means that over 99% of what your brain does happens without you knowing it. Your unconscious isn't just storing memories or processing background noise. It's actively making decisions that shape your reality. Think about the last time you met someone new. Within milliseconds, you formed an impression. You decided whether you liked them, whether you could trust them, whether you wanted to spend more time with them. You probably thought this was a rational judgment based on conversation and behavior. But research shows these snap judgments happen far too quickly for conscious analysis. Your unconscious mind scans facial features, body language, tone of voice, and matches them against every social interaction you've ever had. It delivers a verdict before your conscious mind even starts thinking. This phenomenon extends to nearly every choice you make. When you walk into a grocery store planning to buy healthy food, your unconscious has already noticed the strategic placement of chocolate bars at eye level. It remembers the dopamine hit from eating sugar, the comfort of familiar brands, the positive emotions linked to childhood treats. Before you consciously realize it, that chocolate bar is in your cart. You might justify the decision afterward, with logical-sounding reasons. You had a hard day. You deserve a reward. You'll start the diet tomorrow, but the choice was made unconsciously first. The unconscious mind operates through patterns and associations built over your entire lifetime. Every experience you've ever had leaves a trace, creating neural pathways that influence future decisions. If you grew up associating red cars with danger because of an accident, you'll unconsciously feel uneasy around red vehicles, even if you don't remember why. If classical music played during happy childhood moments, hearing it decades later will unconsciously lift your mood. These associations don't follow logical rules. They're built on emotion, repetition, and survival instincts. One of the most powerful ways your unconscious controls decisions is through something called priming. This is when exposure to one stimulus influences your response to another, completely outside your awareness. In one famous study, participants who held a warm cup of coffee judged strangers as having warmer personalities compared to those holding iced coffee. The physical sensation of warmth unconsciously activated mental concepts of emotional warmth. Similarly, subtle exposure to words related to old age made people walk more slowly afterward, without realizing why. Your environment constantly primes your unconscious, steering your choices in invisible ways. Your unconscious mind is also the home of intuition, that gut feeling that guides you when logic fails. Intuition isn't magical. It's your brain's ability to recognize patterns based on accumulated experience. A firefighter might sense danger in a building moments before collapse, not through conscious analysis, but because their unconscious has processed thousands of similar situations and detected subtle warning signs. A chess master sees the right move instantly because their unconscious has catalogued millions of board positions. What feels like a mysterious sixth sense is actually your unconscious rapidly analyzing information your conscious mind hasn't caught up to yet. But the unconscious isn't always working in your favor. It can trap you in destructive patterns that feel impossible to break. If you grew up in an environment where love was conditional, your unconscious might drive you toward relationships where you have to constantly prove your worth. You'll unconsciously select partners who recreate familiar dynamics, even painful ones, because your brain recognizes the pattern. You might consciously want something different, but your unconscious pulls you back to what it knows. This is where habits live. When you first learned to drive, every action required intense focus. You consciously thought about the accelerator, the mirrors, the turn signals. But through repetition, These actions moved from conscious effort to unconscious automation. Now you can drive while holding a conversation, eating, or thinking about tomorrow's meeting. Your unconscious handles the mechanics, freeing your conscious mind for other tasks. The same process applies to habits both good and bad, whether you're brushing your teeth or reaching for a cigarette. The behavior is encoded in unconscious patterns that activate automatically when triggered by specific cues. Modern life exploits your unconscious vulnerabilities with surgical precision. Advertisers spend billions researching how to bypass your rational defenses and speak directly to your unconscious desires. They use colors, music, imagery, and narratives designed to create emotional associations with products. A commercial doesn't need to convince your conscious mind that you need a luxury car. It just needs to link that car with feelings of success, freedom, and admiration. Your unconscious absorbs these messages, and weeks later, when you see that car on the road, you feel drawn to it without remembering why. Social media platforms are engineered to hijack unconscious mechanisms that evolved for survival. The unpredictable rewards of likes and comments trigger the same dopamine pathways that once rewarded finding food or connecting with your tribe. Your unconscious learned that checking your phone might bring social validation, so it generates a compulsion to check constantly. Even when you consciously know it's unproductive, the platforms aren't designed for your conscious goals. They're designed for your unconscious drives. Even your sense of free will is partly an illusion created after the fact. Neuroscientist Benjamin Libet discovered that brain activity indicating a decision occurs several hundred milliseconds before people consciously experience making that decision. Your unconscious initiates the action, and your conscious mind constructs a narrative afterward, claiming ownership. This doesn't mean you have no control, but it reveals that the relationship between conscious intention and action is more complex than it feels. So how can you work with your unconscious instead of being controlled by it? The first step is awareness. Notice the patterns in your behavior without judgment. When you make a choice that seems irrational, ask what unconscious association might be driving it. The more you observe these patterns, the more you can begin to interrupt them before they run their full course. Mindfulness practices help create space between unconscious impulses and conscious action. Meditation trains you to notice thoughts and urges arising without immediately acting on them. This gap allows your conscious mind to evaluate whether the unconscious suggestion serves your actual goals. Over time, you can rewire unconscious patterns by deliberately creating new associations and strengthening different neural pathways. Your environment shapes your unconscious constantly, so design it intentionally. If you want to eat healthier, remove junk food from your home so your unconscious doesn't have to fight temptation. If you want to read more, leave books in visible places where your unconscious will prime you toward reading. Small environmental changes can redirect unconscious processes toward your conscious goals. Understanding that your unconscious mind is not your enemy changes everything. It evolved to protect you, to learn from experience, to make quick decisions when danger loomed. In the modern world, those same mechanisms can lead you astray, but they can also be your greatest asset when properly directed. Your unconscious holds wisdom accumulated across your entire life, patterns you couldn't consciously articulate, but can deeply trust. The key is partnership. Your conscious mind sets intentions, creates meaning, and makes deliberate choices about who you want to become. Your unconscious mind handles execution, integrates learning, and navigates complexity too vast for conscious processing. When they work together, you become more than the sum of hidden impulses and rational thoughts. You become someone capable of genuine transformation. You are not simply a passenger in a vehicle driven by invisible forces. You are the result of an intricate collaboration between consciousness and the vast unconscious realm beneath it. By understanding how your unconscious shapes your decisions, you gain the power to shape it in return, creating the life you consciously choose rather than the one unconscious patterns automatically deliver.